Kria, and welcome to the second episode of Basadours Super Saturday for this month of August. Yay! Wait, I'm Ate Kria. He's not Ate Kria. Okay, so you just stay there. Okay. Now, how are all of you today? I hope you're all home safe. Okay, because it's not yet a good idea to go out since the virus is still out there and we don't want to catch it. We don't want to get sick. So let's just all stay safe at home. All right? Okay. Now, for today we have a lovely story about a baby hare and a daddy hare. But first, what is a hare? Not this hare, of course. A hare, something that looks like a rabbit. Okay, like this. What's the difference between a rabbit and a hare? Now, my little girl Tori once jokingly said that a hare has more hair than a rabbit. Do you agree with that? No, silly, of course not. Your hair is just like a rabbit, only it has longer ears, all right? Okay, now you know, all right? Okay, now let's start with our story. And for this afternoon, our story is entitled, Guess How Much I Love You, by Sam McBratney and illustrated by Anita Jeram. You ready? Let's start. Little Nut Brown Hare, who was going to bed, held on tight to Big Nut Brown Hare's very long ears. He wanted to be sure that Big Nut Brown Hare was listening. Guess how much I love you, he said. Oh, I don't think I could guess that, said Big Nut Brown Hare. This much, said Little Nut Brown Hare, stretching out his arms as wide as they could go. Big Nut Brown Hare had even longer arms. But I love you this much, he said. That is a lot, thought Little Nut Brown Hare. I love you as high as I can reach, said Little Nut Brown Hare. I love you as high as I can reach, said Big Nut Brown Hare. That is quite high, thought Nut Brown Hare, or Little Nut Brown Hare. I wish I had arms like that. Then, Little Nut Brown Hare had a good idea. He tumbled upside down and reached up the tree trunk with his feet. You know, like upside down, like handstand. Can you do a handstand? Nah, can't do a handstand. I love you all the way up to my toes, he said. And I love you all the way up to your toes, said Big Nut Brown Hare, swinging him up over his head. I love you as high as I can hop, laughed Little Nut Brown Hare, bouncing up and down. But I love you as high as I can hop, said Big Nut Brown Hare, and he hopped so high that his ears touched the branches above. That's good hopping, thought Little Nut Brown Hare. I wish I can hop like that. I love you all the way down the lane as far as the river, cried Little Nut Brown Hare. I love you across the river and over the hills, said Big Nut Brown Hare. That's very far, thought Little Nut Brown Hare. He was almost too sleepy to think anymore. Then he looked beyond the thorn bushes out into the big dark night. Nothing could be further than the sky. I love you right up to the moon, he said. and closed his eyes. "Ooh, that's far," said Big Nut Brown Hair. "That is very, very far." Big Nut Brown Hair settled Little Nut Brown Hair into his bed of leaves. He leaned over and kissed him goodnight. Then he lay down close by and whispered with a smile, "I love you right up to the moon and back." The end. Guess How Much I Love You, written by Sam McBratney and illustrated by Anita Jeram. How about you? How much do you love your parents or your family? I want you to think about that. Then you go up to them. Your dad, your mom, your siblings. Tell them how much you love them, and I'm sure you'll make them very happy. In my case, I like to sing this beautiful song for my kids to tell them how much I love them. Now, if you know this song, sing along with me. Let me love you, come close to me, locked in my arms, you'd still be free. Don't be frightened, my high-flying bluebird, 'cause my love has no walls, no ceilings, no walls, no ceilings, no floors. All my love songs are just for you. Sing them with me, and when you do, don't be frightened, my half-flying bluebird, 'cause my love has no walls, no ceilings, no walls, no ceilings, no floors. I hope you like the song. Now this time, call on your mom, your dad, your ate, your kuya, your lola, and lola, because up next is Kuya Louie Zabala. Yay! Now Kuya Louie here is going to help us how to start our very own home library. Wow, now this is great, especially for people like me who are so disorganized. You know, I've been wanting to start my own home library, but I just don't know where to begin. Okay, now Kuya Louie here is a graduate of library science and is currently the Reader Services Librarian of De La Salle University. So isn't he the perfect person to talk about how to start a home library? Everyone, please help me welcome Kuya Louie Zabala. Hi, Kuya Louie!
Thank you, Ate Kria. Hi, kids. How are you today? I hope you are all fine. This afternoon, I will teach you how to start your own home library. Do you love books? Do you love reading? How many books do you have in your home now? I hope there are already a lot. They might be scattered elsewhere in your room, in your sala, or even some in your pantry. You need to have a home library or a specific place for you to put all of these books together. But there are certain considerations that you need to think about when you start your own library. What are they? First, you need to exactly know how many books you already have in your house. If you only have 2 books or 5 books, it could already be safe if you'll put it on your study table. But if you already have 20, 50, and hundreds of them, you need to start organizing them. And if you already have a lot of books, you may want to consider checking all of those books together or one by one. Say, you have your favorite books, you may set them aside, and you need to check if they're already torn out books, and you may discard them for repairing later on. And also, if you have old copies of books, if you have old copies of books and the books that you don't like to read anymore, or you're already done reading them 100 times, and if they're already duplicate books or more than one copy of a book, then you may also set them aside and donate them to your friends, or perhaps donate it to your local community library. Another thing to consider are shelves and bookcases. If you want a tidy and organized home library, then you need to have your own personal shelf and a bookcase. But when you have a bookcase or a shelf, you may want to ask, how big should it be? The size of the bookshelf should depend on the number of books that you have. And you may consider buying the bigger bookshelf or bigger bookcase in case you need to buy more books. But if you already decide not to buy books anymore, then you need to buy a bookshelf or a bookcase just enough for the books that you currently have. An advice, you may buy a vertical bookshelf. A vertical bookshelf saves the space at home, and it makes your home library very tidy. Now that you have a bookshelf or a bookcase, you may now ask, how should you put the books inside the bookshelves or bookcases? You should let your books stand in your bookcases like this. You should not stack your books horizontally. The spine of the books at the bottom will be damaged due to the pressure and weight of the books on top. It is also optional for you to get a bookcase with glass doors. It will make your display look better, more presentable, and it will give you additional protection to dust. Speaking of presentation, you have seen pictures and videos in the internet of home libraries or home library owners organizing their books by color or by size because they consider aesthetic. They want to present their shelves or their books in the most stylish way possible. That will be good, but it is better to consider function before style. Some others are putting weight more on style rather than function. You may see a bookshelf with many stuffed toys within the shelves, or you may see bookshelves with more than stuffed toys than books. You should know that stuffed toys gather dust, and these dust might harm the pages of your books. I am not saying that you are not allowed to put toys within your home library shelves. But then, you may limit it to just one or two of your most favorite toys and enjoy the sight of these toys inside your shelves. You don't need to overcrowd them. A shelf could be the best place to put your books, but it is not enough for you to have a shelf or a table to put your books in. You need to strategically know where to put the shelf or the table. It is very important for you to decide where do you put your books. You just don't want to put your books elsewhere, right? You don't want to have it scattered everywhere. You love them. And if you love them, you take good care of them. So, where do you put them exactly? Put your books away from windows. Strong winds, dust, and sunlight may harm and damage the pages of your book, and you don't want it to happen. You also put it in a place where your pets won't be able to reach them. Third, if you already know the number of books that you have, if you already have a shelf or a table away from a window, the next thing that you will do is organizing them. Generally, you can classify and you can organize your books or your book collection into two main classifications or two main groups. First, you may separate fiction books from non-fiction books. What are non-fiction books? Non-fiction books are those that are factual, that are informative. For example, dictionaries. If you have a dictionary, that is a non-fiction book. If you have an encyclopedia at home, that is also a non-fiction book. On the other hand, fiction books are generally storybooks. Perhaps majority of the books that you have at home are fiction books. So you may classify them further. You may have a group of storybooks, and you may also have another group for historical fiction books, and perhaps you may classify it by genre. Say, for example, fairy tales, fables, horror, drama, family living. So if you want to have a better home library, you need to know how many books you already have. You make an inventory. Ask your mom and your friends to do the inventory with you, to put the books at the bookshelves, and as I've said, put it away from windows and any elements that could harm your books. Now that you already have the steps on how to organize and make your own home library better, I would like to ask you, how do you take good care of your books and how do you read them? I will give you an important advice on how to take good care of your books. When you read, don't make dog ears at the corner of your books, like this one. Some kids are reading their books and they are putting dog ears for them to know where would they continue reading that book. And that's not a good habit. It is better for you to have a bookmark. Some are having pens and rulers or markers as bookmarks. But these bookmarks would eventually destroy the spine of the books. And you don't want that to happen. Here, I will teach you how to make a corner bookmark. To make your own corner paper bookmark, all you need to have is a clean square paper like this. You may have a big paper like this, or you may have a small square. Okay, then it should be a square. Okay, and you need to have any color that you like. So the first thing to do is perhaps cutting your paper into squares, small squares or big squares, that depends on you. And if you already have a square, you fold it like this. Okay, step 2, you fold it here. And you do the same thing on the other side. Next step, open the parts that you have folded earlier and you make another fold here. There are 2 flaps. The first flap here should be made like this. Okay. Next is to insert this inside. Here. And you do it on the other side too. To insert this And there you have it. You already have your own corner paper bookmark. So the next time that you read, and for example, you stop reading at this page and you want to continue reading after eating your meals or after doing your assignments or homeworks, then you just put this corner bookmark on this specific page and fold it, or rather close it. There you have it. So I hope that you have learned something this afternoon on how to start your own home library and how to take good care of your books. I'm your Kuya Louie, and I'm very happy to be with you this afternoon, and I hope to see you again next time. Bye!